Okay, so we had a few technical glitches there. Sorry if we're a bit late on this evening, but we're all connected now, and we have our lecturer here with us, Daniel Reddy, about to give the presentation. I'll just maybe start off by telling you a bit about us at the Dublin Coding School. So we're a new coding school in Ireland, having launched at the beginning of the year. We offer courses in data analytics, web development, and software testing, among others. We're also developing courses in things like cybersecurity, UX design, data science, but at the moment we're really focusing on those of data analytics, web development, and software testing. All of our courses are designed around the Irish jobs market as well. So we've analysed the market and looked at the jobs being advertised and designed our courses around those jobs. All our course leaders, and we'll meet one tonight, are all professionals working in the field. So you're learning how to do a job from someone who's already doing it. They are short courses, so they're all 2.5 to 3 months. But when you book onto one, you get the chance to sit it twice within a 12-month period. We call that the second chance. The reason for that is we want them to be short so you can get right out onto the jobs market quickly, but then you also have a chance to revise and go back and resit some of the topics again. So for instance, on our data analytics course, we're covering different technologies like SQL, SQL, which is about extracting data from a database, Tableau, which we're looking at tonight, which is about visualizing that data, and Python, which is about manipulating it. So you might, after sitting the course, think, I want to go back and resit Tableau. So you have that chance to do it again for free. It's included in the first fee you pay. And by the way, all of our students who come on board get access to a career center. So we have career counselors who help you with your CV, with your online presence. And the Career Center also partners with hiring companies who tip us off when they have entry-level roles in the areas of our courses. And we share the CVs of our graduates with them. So that's a little bit about who we are. I'll maybe talk again at the end about how to get in touch. But I'd like to now just introduce our lecturer here, Daniel Reddy. Daniel is a very experienced data analyst, senior data analyst, who is currently at TikTok, but has been at places like Facebook and KPMG. I'd maybe just like to say hello. Hi, Daniel.
Hey, Luke. Hi, everybody. Nice to meet you and good evening.
Great, thank you. So, Daniel, I think it might be a good idea. Maybe if you just talk a bit about your background, the companies you've worked at and your education background, just to give everyone an idea of where you're coming from.
Yeah, sure. Why not? So a little bit about me, guys. So as you all know, my name is Daniel. I'm at the moment working as a senior data analyst and leading the team here in Europe in the moderation space within TikTok. But then prior to TikTok, I've worked in a few different companies, obviously, and worked with a lot of different clients during my consulting days. So prior to this, I worked in Facebook in sales operations and more on the revenue side, on the sales side. But prior to that, I obviously worked with KPMG and I worked with a lot of different clients across a lot of different sectors. So obviously financial sector, healthcare sector, e-commerce and stuff like these. So yeah, so just a background on that. And one more thing to mention is that I did not come from an analytical background. So what I mean by that is that I did my bachelor's in a commerce financial accounting. But then obviously I was quite interested in analytics and the growth of data in today's world. And that's one of the things that drew me. And obviously here am I with all my experience and obviously working towards it. And yeah, just a short introduction.
Great. Yeah, well, certainly a really interesting background. I mean, I know we spoke before the podcast tonight, just before we had those technical difficulties, and you're really talking about your time at KPMG gave you great insight into various different businesses, didn't it? And for the people at home maybe watching who don't know who KPMG are, they're one of the major global consultancies, and they really give you an insight, don't they, into various different sectors, Daniel?
Yeah, surely. So obviously it's a consulting company, so we kind of consult a lot of companies, doesn't matter which sector. So we also consult different governments across the globe as well. So it's quite of a big consulting company that takes in projects from a lot of wide range of sectors and industries.
Right. So look, that's who our lecturer is for tonight. So well, let's get to the main topic that we were going to discuss. So on the course Data Analytics, which we actually have a course starting on the 11th of next month, we're putting a group together. We're going to cap it at 12 students. So if you are interested in joining that group, let me know. I'll let you at the end. But on that course, we look at SQL as a Tableau and Python as the core areas, the core coding languages that we teach. So this evening, we're going to have a little look at Tableau. So I know Daniel's prepared some slides to look at what Tableau is and how it's applied. And maybe then at the end, we're going to take questions. So if you're watching this and you have any questions, just type them in to the bottom of the feed and we will get to them later on. So I'll maybe hand over to Daniel to share your screen and maybe begin your presentation.
Sure, thanks a lot, Luke. And again, want to just welcome everybody, whoever took time and joined the session. So welcome to Tableau 1-to-1. So what I'm going to do is basically, I'm going to give you a basic understanding of what Tableau is as a tool. But more importantly, I'm going to also show you a real-time example of what is business analytics. And through the examples, we kind of go through how Tableau kind of helps us in the whole procedure of data analytics and data visualization. So cool. So here we go. So first of all, let's go to the basic and understand what is Tableau. So Tableau is obviously one of the visualization tools that is very commonly used in the industry today. So obviously there are a few other tools, but Tableau is one of the best and the most used tool in all of the big companies today. So Tableau is basically a business BI tool used for visualizing, analyzing the data. So again, so now moving on to what is Tableau and when was it founded? So Tableau was founded in the year 2003. And there was three folks who actually created this company, as given here, Kristen and Pat. They wanted to build this tool to change the way the industry looks at data, but more importantly, wanted to change the way we as individual and companies and enterprises, we kind of visualize our data and make sense of the data. So, but then you might also ask me, like back in 2003, and obviously way earlier than that, we did have Excel. We did have Excel as a tool, and we do have Excel today as well, which is broadly used. So in Excel, obviously we can make bars, we can make tables, and we can make a lot of different charts with it as well. So you would ask me why Tableau would be so different from Excel, and that is something that I would want to explain here. So Tableau was created with this whole vision of changing the way we visualize data and evolutionize the visual analytics. So to actually explain to you guys about Tableau mostly, and more importantly how useful or what kind of a tool it is. So let's use an example here. So we'll go through an example, and then end of the example, I'll kind of explain to you how Tableau plays the role in the example that we said. So let's imagine that you have a superstore. So let's say we're talking about a common superstore, let's say Tesco for an example. So Tesco as a company, obviously they make sales and they obviously record that sales as well. So they would record the sales in various formats. So let's say they would save the data in a form an Excel sheet or into a database. Or obviously Tesco being a big company and obviously having their stores across different regions, they would obviously have stored into a more better system called the cloud, all APIs. So now let's say.
Right, Daniel, can I just ask a question about that slide if we can go back? So that's a really good one, isn't it? So we're saying, so what you're saying here is, and these are different ways that companies store their data. Is that right? And maybe if you were a small company and you weren't as rich as a Tesco, you might still be storing all of the sales that you record on an Excel sheet to keep track of everything. And then maybe a medium-sized company would invest in a database and they'd be storing their data there. And you're saying that these large companies like Tesco store the cloud, is that right? So what difference then between the database and the cloud?
Yeah, sure, 100%. So you're totally right, Luke, on that. So it depends on the size of the company and more depending on what's your capital or how big is the company in terms of a monetary factor. You can use different tools. So when you're talking about cloud, so cloud is also a database, but it's not physically available. So it means that so when you're connected to the cloud, you can be connected to a data set or a data table visually from anywhere in the world. So you are connected through an API, which is basically a link to it. So when you're connected to a cloud through an API, you can connect wherever you are from obviously from your mobile phone, from a website, from your computer. So you can actually access it from anywhere that would actually have an internet connection.
Right. And so these are three ways that companies will be storing data. And is what you're saying, Tableau is able to interact with these three modes of storage?
That's correct, exactly. So for some of the people who wouldn't know what I mean by API. So API means application programming interface. So that's basically a link that you would need to connect to a cloud. So yeah, so in other words, that exactly what Luke said, depends on company. So in real time world or in the industry, small companies would obviously store their data in databases or even in Excel formats. But obviously, if you're a larger company who would want to share data across different global locations, different time zone, et cetera, then obviously cloud would be the most valuable system for you to store your data, and so that everybody can have access to it at the same time.
Okay, very good. Thanks, Daniel.
Cool. So moving on to the next slide. So now going to the second picture here. So imagine that as a company, obviously as Tesco, you obviously have your sales. Now what you want to do is you want to analyze the sale or you want to answer a question. So what you do is first of all, obviously you track, as I said, you track the sales data. So you collect them and you store it into for this example, let's use the cloud. So next, what will happen is a data analyst or even a data scientist would actually go to the cloud or the Excel sheet and then pull out the data and then try to answer some questions. So for example, let's say for this sake of this example, let's say I want to answer the question, which product gave me the most profit in the last year, or can you give me the top 5 commodities that sold the most? So these kinds of questions. So this is where we will then take the data and try to answer this question. So when we are trying to answer this question, so the data analyst or the data scientist would take the questions from the stakeholders. So one thing to note here by what I mean by stakeholders. So stakeholders are people in the company that could be either from the financial department, from the marketing department, from the ops department, or even it could be HRs as well. So depending on which department you are, you can either have multiple stakeholders or you can have one type of stakeholder depending on which company and which department of the company you are. Now,
okay, so that's really interesting to point out, I think, to people at home, and I'm glad you said that. So really that's a bit of insight into where the data analyst sits. So you're there in the office and you're kind of being approached by departments like marketing or finance who want to know things about the data. So they're asking you things like how many people have booked, or can you pull me a financial report, and that's who you're working with on a daily basis, isn't that right?
That's correct. So as a data analyst or even a data scientist, you will be working very, very closely with the stakeholders. So in other words, stakeholders are basically your customers or the users of the report or the analytical stuff that you kind of build. So basically what you're doing is that you're making their lives easier by providing them insightful knowledge from extracting insights from the data, in other words. So again, moving on to the same example that I said. So let's say in this case, the sales department from Tesco came up to you and they want to understand how well the company has done in different regions, et cetera, et cetera. So as a data analyst, what you're going to do is obviously you are going to build reports, or you're also going to build dashboards as well. And then you're going to then send this dashboard to your stakeholders. So now what your stakeholders are actually going to do and why these reports are so important to them. So your stakeholders obviously are folks consisting of senior members in the company. And when I talk about say senior members, I mean the members who actually make the decisions or the calls, and those are supported by your analysis or your dashboard. So they're going to take the dashboards and the insight that you have extracted from all of the data and in the form of dashboard. Then based on that, they're going to make a decision And then based on the decision, they're going to, let's say, for example, given the fact that we're talking about Tesco here, they would say, okay, because this product sold the most, we are going to give out, let's say, 20% or 50% of offers on that product. Or let's say if a product is not selling so good, they can then say buy one, get one free, and many more. I'm just giving a few examples of the common ones here. So now going on to the whole picture now. So this is what is showing you the whole picture. This whole circle is basically what we call analytics or business intelligence. So it started from the way you store your data in whatever format. Then you take the question that you want to ask, and you make sure that the data is cleaned and prepped to answer that question. Then obviously you use that data, the prep data, into dashboard, and then you send the dashboard, and you obviously communicate the same with your stakeholders. You kind of explain to them what it means, and based on that, they would then make a lot of decisions, and then the action would be done in the company, and again the circle will go on and on. So now coming to the main question, where does Tableau play a role in this whole circle of business analytics? So to answer that question, I will go to the new slide. So in this slide, what Tableau basically would do, how would that Tableau play a big role in this whole circle of life of business analytics is how you see and understand the data. So in this case, Tableau would do 5 major things. So which obviously I will go into in depth of each of them in the next slide, just to give you a bit of glimpse. So the 5 things that Tableau would do in the whole life cycle of business analytics is first of all, it will store the data. So Tableau itself would first store the data that we're talking about. Then the data would be analyzed, or in other words, you want to depending on what questions you want to ask, you will prep the data. So obviously, a lot of time the data would, or most of the time, data are not as cleaned, to be honest, even in the industry. So you would have to do a bit of manipulation and a bit of joins. In other words, let's say you have 5 different tables that you need to use. This is where in Tableau, you can obviously join the table, pivot the table, and do a lot of different types of data prepping work. After that, we will then obviously, after the data prep is done, we will analyze the data, and then henceforth, we will obviously share the data. And then, as I said, the decision would be made, and then the outcome of those decisions. So now let's go into more in-depth detail. So the first thing is the transaction stored. So in this case, let's say we are talking about Tesco. So we're talking about Tesco data. So Tesco
okay,
data,
so just to say, is this now back to your example of Tesco? So this is data of things being sold in the shop.
exactly. This is basically how the example of Tesco, but here we're talking about Tableau as a platform, how Tableau is going to play a role here. So if you guys see this, as I said, Tableau obviously stores data, and obviously then you will connect the data. So let me actually go ahead and show you guys a little bit of how Tableau looks, so you guys would get a better understanding of Tableau here.
Oh, great. Okay, so now you're going to show us Tableau in reality.
Exactly. So as an example, I said the first thing is that you can connect Tableau to a lot of different aspects. So if you look at my left hand side here, just next to connect, you would see a lot of different options. That's what I said, that Tableau can connect to a lot of wide range of connection, both including physical files, but as a server as well. So imagine that I told you, like, most of the companies would save their data into the server. That's where you would obviously log into the server, but for the server, you would still need the credentials. So for this example, let me connect to a file, maybe on my desktop here. So so this is just a random data set that I'm just connecting called Global Superstore. So when I clicked on that, so that's basically an Excel sheet. So obviously you can see the data here. So the first thing what you're going to do is you got to go to the worksheet on Tableau. And the first thing when you go to Tableau, what you see is on your left-hand side, again, you see the data set is connected to, and then you see the Tableau automatically connects, divides a few different aspects. So everything that is marked on blue that you can see here are called dimensions. And anything that are here are called measures. So in other words, measures are something that have numerical values, whereas dimension would have a string value. But again, you can obviously convert the dimension into measures and vice versa as well. So let's take a quick example of let's say the question was, what is the amount of sale did I have in each country today? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first take the country, and it's a very, very easy tool to use, which is Tableau. What you just need to do is drag and drop. So I'm going to click on this and drag it to to row. And then I'm going to take the sales, and then I'm going to drag it to column. See, one thing you might have noticed here is that when I dragged sales to column, it did a sum total. So what it's doing is that whatever the row was for United States is summing up the exact number. So for example, if I still want to see the value, I will then drag this into labels, and I can actually now see in what format, what is the amount that is given, etc., etc. Then, for example, if I want to extract it for a date, so let's say if I want to see just for a specific time period. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the order and put it into a filter. And let's say I want to see months, and I would say I just want to see for the month January and February. So what it's going to do is that it's going to just show me the data for only for January and February, which I have selected, and it's going to show me for all the countries what is going to be done. Again, you can obviously, it's a visualization tool. So let me do something which is more interesting from a visualization perspective. So let me put this into a map. So if I take this and put it into a map, you can see that when you hover into any country, you can see the amount that was sale here. Let's say for China here, the amount was $75,000 plus dollars, and in the United States, 155 plus thousand. So this is kind of the way you can obviously do a lot of different things in terms of visualizations. So now going back to my presentation here. So as I said here, so what Tableau can do, number one, it can obviously store, you can connect, through using Tableau, you can connect to a lot of different databases, but at the same time, you can also connect it to different files like hyper text files, Excel, CSV, etc., etc. But at the same time, you can also connect to more than one database at the same time. For example, let's say you are doing a more advanced analysis where you would have to be connected, let's say 10 plus different data sources, which you can do because obviously Tableau has the functionality to do that. The second thing is obviously before you can make the visualization, you will need to do a bit of cleaning, as I explained. So that is where in Tableau, you can also do a bit of cleaning where you can join the tables, you can do union, pivot, and etc., etc. So next, as I said, once the data is connected and obviously clean, then that's where you will start playing with the data and start answering the question that you wanted to answer. But more importantly, you want to visualize the answer in a way that is well digested or well communicated to the stakeholder, because most of the stakeholders are non-technical persons, so they want their visualization or the information as simple as possible. So it's very, very key that you keep it as simple and relevant for your users to understand what you mean when you build a dashboard.
Right. Daniel, I'll just stop there for a second, and before you continue, just to let everyone know, we will be taking questions at the end, so pretty soon. So if you do have questions, again, write them into the bottom on Facebook and to the feed, and my team here are texting me the questions, so I'll be getting them, and we will get to every question. Okay, so sorry, I'll just hand you back there, Daniel.
Sure, thanks, Luke. And yeah, guys, please, we are more than happy to get the question, and we'll be excited to answer them as well. So moving on to here. So number 3 is what are the other benefits of Tableau? Is obviously, first of all, it's very, very safe because when you analyzing the data in Tableau, is connected to your server, your physical drive that we are trying to analyze the data. So it's, first of all, it's very safe. Number 2, Tableau is a tool where you can collaborate. For example, if you're doing an analysis on your Excel sheet, you would then have to send the Excel sheet to another person with the updated version, and then he or she would then collaborate. And this is where Tableau, you don't have to. So for example, if you if you use Tableau and save your dashboard to the server, then anyone across the globe can then log into the server, make changes to your dashboard or collaborate with you. And then when you would log in, you would see the changes. So you don't have to physically share. Everything would be there in the server. The next thing is it's robust. So when I say robust, I mean all the data is on real time. So for example, if I'm connected to your dashboard in Dublin and somebody is connected to your dashboard, let's say in the US, you would still see the same data in real time. If you make the changes, if you make a change right now, at the same time, the other person across the globe would see the change at the same time. Apart from that, you can use Tableau to embed in other tools as well. Like for example, if you have a website, you can obviously embed your dashboard to the website. So whenever you make the changes to your dashboard, your website obviously gets updated automatically. And there are obviously a bunch of other tools as well. As I said, even in Tableau, you can use the cloud, or you can also use a physical database as well. So one of the key things to remember here about Tableau is that obviously Tableau has a server, so you can do everything online. Apart from that, Tableau also has an app on the go. So obviously, if you are on the go and you want to see your dashboard or get insights from your data, you can log on from your dashboard and get all the information. Apart from that, you do have a Tableau reader as well, which is on their website. And as I already said, it also has an API. So for example, if you build a data source in Tableau, you can give the API to anybody else across the globe, and he or she can then use your data set and play around and make insightful reports from there. So yeah, so that is what brings me to the end of our end of this Tableau 101. There's another thing I think is worth mentioning for you guys here is that there are two types of. I'm sure after this call, you guys might want to go and download Tableau and just use it as a tool, and I would recommend that and would obviously encourage you guys to do that. But two things to remember is that there is a few different aspects. So obviously there is the Tableau desktop, which is obviously to create. And then you have the server as well, which is for consume. So server is where you store your data and your physical dashboards. But at the same time, desktop or Tableau desktop or Tableau public is where you actually build your dashboard. So obviously you can download the Tableau desktop in your in your physical computer or laptop. But obviously it's not a free aspect, but however, because Tableau desktop is not free, that's why you have Tableau public. So Tableau public, you can log in on the web, and then on the web you can obviously create and edit your charts and also share it with other folks in the public community as well. And that is a very, very good thing, because if you go to Tableau public, you'll see a lot of good folks sharing a lot of information and their dashboard. So I would recommend that. And the next thing is obviously the Tableau server. Tableau server, when I'm talking about the one which is called WUSTL, that's a private server. So when you, as a company, when you want a private server, obviously you pay money to Tableau and you can have a private server. But at the same time, as people like me and you, if we want to do something for our own consumption, you can obviously use the free Tableau public server in their web, and you can then obviously save your data sets and your visualization as well, where you can obviously use it to share with other folks.
Great, that's fantastic. Thank you very much, Daniel. So we'll go to the questions now. We've had quite a few coming in. We've had some on Facebook, but we also had some by email a little earlier from the registrations through our own website. I'll come to one, and I promise you this is it is a real question. It's not, it's from Nathan Edwards, and he's asked, when does the course start and is there a link to it? Well, Nathan, if you're watching this, the next course starts on the 11th of May, and that you can find it on dublincoding.ie. But also you can find the course there. There's also other videos with regards to data analytics. We have a video on SQL, which is part of the course. And also we have a panel with all of our lecturers. So if you're watching, Nathan, I'd be happy to have a call with you to talk about the course and maybe learn a bit about what you'd be looking to learn on it. But just to answer the question there, it's on the 11th of May. So I might send you a message after this. We had another one come through, by the way, also from Carol, who was asking, if you're using Tableau, do you have to be very good at mathematics? So that seems to be one they ask quite a lot. So I'll just Do you have to know a lot about mathematics to use this or not? It looked like dragging things around there.
Sure. That's a fair question, Luke, because obviously a lot of folks ask me as well. So yeah, to answer that question, absolutely not. So you don't have to be anywhere into a high level in mathematics, but obviously you would have to need a basic understanding. And I'm sure that every one of you have a basic understanding of mathematics that you obviously did in your high school. So any high school level of mathematics would be perfect for this. And that is why Tableau is such an easy tool because Tableau itself does the work for you. So Tableau is very user-friendly work because they do all the mathematics and all the calculation in the back end. But obviously, if you're looking at some high-level analytics or advanced analytics, you might need to code a little bit in Tableau. But again, those codings are very simple. You can obviously check them out on Tableau website as well in terms of their functions and their formulas. It is very simple. It's just like doing multiplication and subtraction and addition.
Okay, and we had another one from Michael who's saying, are all the images on Tableau? You know, you were pulling out a globe there and an image of different graphs. Are they all on Tableau, or do you create any images yourself when you're using it?
No, so it's obviously on Tableau. So obviously, so Tableau would have a wide range of visualization that you can do it. But at the same time, if you can also do a lot of different hacks on Tableau itself, where you can make a lot of different charts by doing a lot of different calculation. But to answer your question, majority or 90% of the time where you would do your work would be with the charts or the visualization, which is already available in Tableau. But then obviously there's a lot of hack that obviously you can learn in advanced mode in Tableau, where you can obviously inside Tableau itself, you can make different graphs that are normally not used.
Okay, we'll just take a couple of more. So if you do have a question, now might be your last chance to type one in. But we had one here from a Sinead, and she was asking, it might be a tricky one, but what is the difference between Tableau and Python?
Yeah. Sure. So it's actually a big difference, to be honest. So Tableau is a BI tool. So it's basically a business intelligence tool, whereas Python is a programming language. So given the fact that BI tool is basically to visualize the data, number one, but also to clean the data, whereas Python is more of a high advanced programming language. You can also do a lot of visualization in Python. You can also clean the data, but again, the visualizations in Python wouldn't be as easy to understand compared to Tableau. And also given the fact that it's just a programming language, even if you want to do let's say a bar chart, you would have to at least write a 10 different lines of code to actually do a bar chart as well. Where in Tableau, you can just need to drag two or three different keys, and you would get the pie chart or the bar chart that you're looking at. But again, some of the answer that I said, Tableau is a BI tool, whereas Python is a programming language where you can do a lot more things, it being a programming language.
Okay, I mean, this seems to be a popular question tonight. We have Alexander Pepe saying, hi, I had the impression that you can use Python for that. Why is Tableau becoming an important skill for data analytics? Well, I suppose you've just summed it up there, that Python is a coding language and Tableau is a business intelligence tool, which you can quickly make the images, but in Python, you have to write the code to make them yourself. Is that really what you're saying?
Yeah, so if I have to answer, obviously I can give a very big answer to that, but if I have to give a 1 sentence or 2 sentence answer, I would say it as this. So in today's industry world, data is something that is 100% necessary for every business decision. So imagine that if you are a sales manager and who your entire work is on sales, imagine if you want to see a data, why would you use Python where you don't have any programming experience, where you can just go to Tableau and you can just drag and drop few things that your data team has already cleaned the data, made the data ready for you. All you need to do is just drag 2 different things, and there you will get your insight. So to answer your question, the hype of using Tableau and also different visualization tool in the market has been done is because of the user friendly of them, and also the functionality. I obviously explained to you guys the different functionalities of Tableau, which obviously Python would not be as friendly with it, or would not be as easily available to do so.
Okay, thanks. We've had another one come through from Johnny, and he's asked, missed the answer to this, what was it? And I believe he was referring to, when does the course start? So we put these courses together, usually every month. We limit the places on each course to 12 students because we really want them to be as interactive as possible. I know some schools have as many as 30 or 40 students in a class, but we feel, we limit the numbers so questions can be asked and you get the proper attention from the lecture. All the lectures are, by the way, live and in 3-hour stints. But the class, the next one is starting on the 11th of May. So that's coming up quite soon. dublincoding.ie is our website. But I see the people who asked that question. I'd be happy to have a call with you today or tomorrow or the next day to talk about it and to maybe learn a bit more about your interest. So if there's no more, if you have any more questions, just put them down on Facebook. I have one more now for Daniel, which is, what would, in your opinion, be the top 3 attributes that someone that would really make a great data analyst?
Okay, so if you put it on three, if I'm just talking about 3 attributes, that's quite a tough one. So let me put it in 2 different attributes as a whole. So one is obviously, I would say, the technical skill. One, and obviously you can then subcategorize the technical skill that obviously we teach in this course. So one is SQL. SQL is very, very key for you to understand how to analyze the data. The next thing is obviously you understanding how to use Tableau, any one of the visualization tool. And the third one is you should know how to do a bit of data manipulation or data statistics. Obviously you have Python for that as well. And the other thing is your soft skills, and soft skill is as important as your technical skill as well. So when I'm talking about soft skill, I'm talking about how you are good at communicating your work with your stakeholders, because I already explained to you, like most of the tech stakeholders are non-technical people. They don't understand data or the technical part of the data. So obviously you would have to communicate them your work in a way that is understandable from them. But at the same time, one of the skills that's very, very important is for you to know how to tell a story. So you can do all the coding, all the technical stuff that I just spoke about you, but when you're trying to create a story from the data, or you're trying to answer a question or create an insight from the data, you need to know the business, and you would need to know how to create this, how to build the story that would make sense or would help the leadership to make decisions based on your insights.
Great. So that's I know you've said that before, and you certainly said it on the panel we had. I don't know if people saw that, and that communication skills are really important in this role. So it is a technical role, and we train you obviously in the Dublin Coding School in those aspects. But there's a huge communication piece, isn't there, dealing with other departments? So it's quite an interesting area to get into. I'll just give them. So it looks like there's no more questions coming through. Now would be the very last chance to get any more. But just while I wrap up, I'll keep an eye on it. But thank you very much, Daniel. I'll just let everyone know. So the website is dublincoding.ie. And if you want to get in touch with me, the email is luke@dublincoding.ie. Happy to talk to anyone about data analytics or any of our other courses, by the way, which are in web development, full stack web development, and testing, automation testing, and software testing. But as I said, the next course coming up is the 11th of May. And it's going to be in data analytics. That course will run then for 8 weeks. It will be 3 sessions per week during the week. And they go from 6:30 till 9:30 in the evening. All of our lecturers are professionals working in the field. So they're night classes. So you're learning from these professionals. After that, on the course, you'll fulfill a project where you'll be able to afterwards demonstrate the work you've done using SQL or SQL, Tableau, and Python, solving business problems. And then you'll be into our career center, where we'll help you with your CV, your online presence, and also help you get your CV out there to our partner company. And if you get an interview, the day before, we'll have a Zoom with you, and we will help you prepare for that interview, getting you ready to answer questions and giving you questions to ask them. So it's a full service career center. And of course, if you do book onto the course on the 11th of May, you can resit it again within 12 calendar months. And you'll more than likely then get a different lecturer with a different perspective. So we have 4 lecturers in our data analytics faculty. We obviously have Daniel here, who's at TikTok. We also have Vineal and Johns, who are at Bank of Ireland. And we have Ray, who's at Wayfair. So I believe Ray will be taking the group on the 11th, and Daniel will then be taking the group in June. So that's how we work it. But if there, I'll just double check. Let me see. We do have one more question here from Tolu, and they are asking, how is the lecture delivered? Now, that's a very good question. So we are looking to open a facility when it's safe. Certainly by this time next year, we definitely hope to have it open, if not sooner. But obviously, we know we've all been on lockdown and COVID. So we haven't got an open facility at the moment because of that. We do have facilities in other countries which were open, but are obviously closed to COVID. So at the moment, everything's online. So these are delivered through Google Classrooms and online, but they're not, we're not going to send you out videos or workbooks. They're all live with a lecturer. So each lesson is 3 hours long. You'll have around an hour and a half of theory, and then you'll be doing an hour to an hour and a half of practical work with your lecturer who'll be checking in on you. So it's all practical learning and it's all live. So that's how it's delivered. I hope that answers your question. And of course, Tolu, yeah, I'll just double check. Another question, what tools and equipment is needed? So you need a functioning laptop and a Wi-Fi connection. We'll give you all of the downloads. Don't need anything too high spec. You need a standard laptop and a Wi-Fi connection. And then you need to connect obviously with us through Google Classrooms, sometimes on Zoom. We also have what we call a student hub. So every registered student gets access to our own Dublin Coding School hub, where you can see your schedule, you can communicate with the teachers, other students, you get your course results and other information about Dublin Coding School. So that's really all you need, is a laptop and good Wi-Fi and the motivation to learn how to code and to learn how to be a data analyst. And really, we think that the motivation thing is really the big part of it. So I'll just double check. I think that's it for the questions. So it's good night and good evening from me. And I'll just hand over to Daniel if he wants to say goodbye to everybody.
Yeah, thanks everybody who ever joined, and it's lovely taking your questions. And yeah, good evening.
Great, thank you very much. So just finally, the website again is dublincoding.ie, and you can get me on luke@dublincoding.ie. Really happy to hear from anyone watching tonight, and sure I'll be speaking to some of you soon to talk about how we might work together. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Bye-bye.